Here is a sequence. Let's begin and enjoy.
Now, the easiest way to do this, of course, is on a bolster. I have, this is like a pillow bolster. One time years ago, when somebody owned the bolsters that we use for pregnancy yoga, and she came and got them, and we were in the middle of not having any bolsters, I just looked for pillows at home. And we're going to actually do that twist, but we're going to face down. So with my bolster pillow, it would look something like this. And of course your head, it's difficult to change your neck to the other side, so you can leave the head facing the knees, or you can do like the forehead on the hands. It's probably more comfortable to put it on the side. If you want a neck stretch, you can try to turn the head the other way, but even for me, that's difficult. So that's what it looks like. And I've got a regular yoga bolster where doing this is quite luxurious because it gives me more height. So that's a way to do it on the bolster. But you want to, just bring the knees up so you're getting a little bit of a gentle twist. And then with my blankets, it looks like I stack the blankets and then just do it like this. So I'm lower to the ground, but you can play with, bending the knees in a little bit more to get a little more intensity in the twist. And really, my neck doesn't really want to turn to the other side, although that's a possibility if you want that stretch. But I want you to just be comfortable. And the most comfortable way for me is to just turn the head facing the knees, and then, or sometimes putting the forehead on my hands is kind of nice too. And that keeps my spine neutral. So whatever works for you. I'm going to feel what it is like on the blocks, just for, another option. So like with my 2 blocks, it's not too bad. I get a little height with the blocks, although my rib cage doesn't like the hardness of the blocks. But it's still possible to take all kinds of props in your house. I was even wondering this isn't really a big enough beach towel, but you can take a towel and then try to kind of roll it to its maximum and also lay across the towel as well. It doesn't give you as much height, but it can still be a support. So however you can do this pose. So those are, I don't know how many ways I demonstrated that pose, but that's a few ways. So just trying to show whatever you've got at home, you can use that. And most people in their households have some kind of blankets. And once you start practicing yoga and using blankets in your yoga, it's almost like you can never have enough blankets, because you can use the blankets in yoga poses all the time. So then you want to kind of have a nice stack of them. And this one's a combination of, I don't know if it's got wool and cotton or if it's got something else in it. It's from Australia. And my yoga teacher just happened to give me this one, and it's cotton. And so it's thinner. So it also has some good qualities for it too. So as you stay in the pose, you can really breathe into the part of the body that's up to the sky. So it would be that side of the rib cage that leans up, and then you can really try to fill that space. And it's bringing that breath into some width into that side lung. So after all that demonstrating, I probably showed you a long time on that side. So it's probably time to move to the other side. So you set your feet up together, your knees up together. Yeah, the other thing you can do is put a block under things to give yourself a little more height with the head if that's what you need too. This isn't too bad. But it's a little bit of a restful way to begin the class. We're going to do a little bit, we'll have a little play with some restorative poses and see how we go. Because restorative poses, you need lots of props. But we'll try to do minimal prop restorative yoga today. Because we've just had a full moon, which can be quite, it can keep people up and, you know, it can excite the nervous system. So again, when you do this twist in this direction, you can play with where your head and neck position is. Maybe one side it's easier to turn to the other side. But if you have any neck issues, then just keep it turning towards the legs. Otherwise, you know, you can slowly put the forehead on the hands and play with starting to turn the ear towards the opposite side, or turn the face. And that works really well if you have more things to support yourself with. So yeah, Nicole, we're a little bit unusual today. I'm trying something a little different with doing a twist on the prop. So slowly come up, and we're going to try to keep our forehead as sort of soft as possible today. And the next pose, I'll show you a couple of ways to go into big toes together, knees wide with support. One nice thing is to take your towel and just roll it so that it's over your tops of your thighs, and then you just pull on that as you come forward, and you can bring your forehead down. And there's something really nice about this traction, and if you have a belt, same thing can happen. You have a little traction and you bring your forehead down, and then you can actually use a little arm strength here. Another way to do this pose with the bolster or the blankets is just bring the bolster down to your abdomen, and then just put your forehead on your hands here. So that's a way to do it more restorative. But if you want that version with more length in your thighs and your back, you just hold the towel here or the belt and really extend it. It really gives you some space here in that lower back. And after a while of doing that, you can then just release the hands. So whichever version you're doing, you want to feel the weightedness as much as possible into your shins. And then just letting the forehead soften onto your hands or onto the mat. And then I wish I was there with the doorknob. There's a way to do supported downward dog with a doorknob and a belt, but I can't demonstrate that right now. But if you've got some height, and you can use your block, or you can take a blanket and really stack it or roll it up. Because what you try to do is you have to play with, can you give yourself head support? This is why the bolster is nice, because I can walk my hands forward, my feet back, and give myself some head support. And you're trying to roll that head towards your forehead. The other thing is, if you needed more height and you didn't want to go down to a full downward dog, you can bring a chair in and, you know, just come in with the head on the chair and the arms there and stretching the backs of the legs. So that's another version. Let's see if I can show it with the block. For me, I think the block would be this way. If you have a soft block, well, I don't know, you know, I like the hard blocks. You can try this way. Now, if you've got stuff in your shoulders, you probably can't hold this very long. And that's why a prop like the chair can be very useful, because you still get a downward like dog without a lot of weight in your shoulders. And then slowly walk your feet towards your hands, and we'll try to do some kind of supported standing forward bend where, you know, with a bolster that stands up, it can be as simple as hanging out here, or what I like with the bolster is holding the wrists and doing this. You can stack, you know, blocks, blankets, and then the other option is a chair. So, you know, and another option without props could be to widen the legs, maybe hold onto the shins a little bit, and just drop the head down, but keep the shoulders as soft as you can. So it's like imagining you're pouring the head into a bucket. So the no prop version is just sort of hanging like this. You can't hang very low. Mostly it's just you want the top of the head going down like it was hanging in a bucket, just depending on your hamstrings. And then you can inhale, slowly roll up the spine. Come and stand in Tadasana and just see how you are for the moment. Because I don't want to rush anything. Like when we bring the head up after it's been low like that, you don't want to feel dizzy. So I might have needed, I mean, I've been kind of going in and out. I'm hoping that you've still been able to hold that quietness in the body. And then as you stand in Tadasana, see if you can feel the length in the thumb and the pinky finger, and that you have space under your armpits. And then lift the toes so you can feel the feet ground in there, and that the forehead is quite soft.
And then just slowly inhale the arms overhead. See if you can really feel that length. And then reach the arms out to your side. Feel that width. And then bring the hands right in front of you, bending a little bit the knees, and then stepping or jumping wide. And we'll just see if we can maintain this quietness that we were creating in the beginning into some standing poses. So I'll do mirror image, take the left foot toe to heel, right foot heel to toe, and then really reach, reach, reach. And today we'll keep the top arm down, and we'll also just, look towards the floor and soften the forehead here. And actually what might be nice is to take the top hand around to the thigh so that we're just stretching the shoulder here. And still keeping that quietness in the forehead. And then inhale, slowly come up. Bring the feet to parallel. Bring the arms back out to your side. And then pivot the other direction. And again, coming down and taking the top arm around. And then just looking towards the ground, feeling the solidness in the legs, but the softness in the forehead. And then inhale, slowly come up. Bring the feet to parallel. You can bring the arms out to the side again. Couple of breaths in this pose, feeling that width between the legs. And then you can step or you can jump back into Tadasana and have a couple of breaths there. And then again, we'll just slowly inhale those arms overhead. And as you go slow, you can feel if something starts to happen where maybe you throw out the chest or you throw out the rib cage. So you still want to try to maintain that head and tail length without distorting the body. And then exhale them out to the side again. And bring the hands in front now. And as you jump, it's not quite as wide, but you still have the feet parallel. And if you can bring the hands into reverse prayer position, you can, or you can hold the elbows behind you. And then we're going to bend the knees and pivot all the way around towards the right foot. And then if you have the hands in reverse prayer position, you can inhale, chest up, exhale, coming forward. Now, continue to wrap those hips so this outer hip comes around and the opposite hip lifts up. So you don't want to be doing this. And this is also where it's nice. I'll use the towel so I can show you with the towel instead of a belt. Bring the towel here and you can really pull that hip up. And you still have a soft forehead. And then inhale, slowly come up. Bring the feet parallel. A couple of breaths here. And then either you have the hands behind you or holding the elbows behind you, or you can use the towel or the belt as you pivot around to the other side. You inhale, lift the chest up, exhale, coming forward, really pulling the hip that's
on the far side, because you don't want to be coming around this way. You want to be lifting that outer hip up and bringing this one down so that the hips are even. If you had a mirror back here, you could kind of have a peek and see what's going on with your hips. And I really recommend it if you ever have a chance to look at your hips in a mirror that way. And then inhale, slowly come up. Come bringing the feet back to parallel. And then having the arms out to the side, you can step or you can jump back into Tadasana in a couple of breaths. There. And then again, inhale the arms overhead and feel that slowness as you bring them up to see if you're distorting the body or not. And then exhale the arms down and then bring them up to the side, cross them in front and jumping or stepping wide. And then pivot the feet around. So again, it's the left foot toe to heel, right foot heel to toe. And then you're coming down into triangle here with the leg. And then you're going to slowly come on to that leg. If you have the block, that's really helpful. If not, you can keep the hand to the floor. But what you're trying to do is slowly bring that leg up so then it straightens the bottom leg into Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. We're going to keep the hand down though, the arm down, or you can take it to the outer thigh there and hold it behind you. And then as you reach that foot way back long, you come back through triangle pose. And then inhale, slowly come up, bringing the feet together into parallel wide. And then we're going to slowly pivot to the other side and coming down into triangle where you bend that front leg. And you know, you can just stay here with the hand on the shin and try to slowly straighten that leg up so that then it straightens your bottom leg. And I have this chair, so this makes it really easy. So if you have a chair, you can just put your arm down on the chair, and that makes this pose very easy. Or I should say manageable. I shouldn't say easy. And then bend the front leg, take that foot long behind you, and come into triangle. And then slowly come up. Bring the feet wide. And then arms up, and you can step or jump back into Tadasana. And then we'll do a bit of tree pose. So tonight you can stand on one foot and then you can actually bring the ankle up, toes pointed down. And so you really want to press that foot into the thigh. See if you can find that hip cinching feeling here. And if you're feeling balanced, you can bring the hands into prayer. And then you can bring them overhead if that feels good. And then if you want a variation, bring the thumb and the first finger together and drop the hand down to the thigh and do a little C curve. And then inhale, slowly come up, bring the foot down, back to Tadasana. And then stand on your opposite foot, bring the foot up, toes pointed down. So you can bring the hands to the
hips to really feel that hip cinching. Bring the hands into prayer if you're feeling the balance. And then you can slowly bring them overhead. That feels like it's going to work for you. And then if you want to do the variation, thumb and first finger, dropping the hand down to the thigh and the C curve with the opposite side. And then bring the arm up, foot down, hands down, and just a couple of breaths in Tadasana, and just notice how your feet are, legs, spine. See if you can feel really tall, really, really tall. And then I'll bring my mat a little forward. We're going to come down to lying down again, and we'll make this easy. So the first one is you're going to bring the right leg over the left leg. You can bring the arms out to your side and then just drop that leg down. So it's like you're using the weight of the right leg to pull the left leg down. So this gives some length here, but it doesn't squeeze in the abdominals here. So we're going to hold this for a few breaths. I'm going to see if I can remember this, all these variations. I may forget one. And then bring the knees up again and change sides. So now you bring the left leg over the right, and then you drop the knees to the left side. So this kind of gets into my side waist, a little bit of the back of my hip a little bit. And then inhale, slowly bring that up. Now, I'm seeing if I can remember how I've done this in the past. Or maybe it was, yeah, okay. I think what we do is we kind of reverse it. So this time, I had the right over the left. Bring the left over the right and take your hand, and then this knee goes up closer. So that's a different twist. So this is when you're actually using the bottom leg to press into the calf muscle to get a different stretch. And then slowly bring up the legs and then change sides. So as you do this, then what happens is the opposite leg becomes what presses the top leg down. Or you can use your hand as well. So this is going to feel into a slightly different stretch. And then slowly bring that leg up. And now both feet are back on the ground. Now you're going to extend the right leg out, bring the left foot into the thigh. And again, this time you use your hand to really press that knee towards the floor. And again, the knee can come up a little bit higher, and you do get more into the abdominals a little bit. It just gives you a different stretch. And we're doing these variations so you can see, gosh, which ones do I really need to do every day and which ones do I not need to do as much? Or maybe I need to do them all. So
I don't know. And then bring that leg up and slide the left leg down, bring the right knee in, and then bring the left hand on top of that right leg and really pushing to the side. And then come back into the center. And this is where you might want some support under your legs. You might not need them, but you might want a blanket, a block, whatever you got. So this time, so you want to bring it towards your hips, but you also want to bring it on a diagonal if you can. And this is when you bring your knees up to the chest, straighten the legs, and then see if you can bring them towards the floor. And wherever you need the support, it might be that if you support the hips, then the feet hang out there. If you can bring them lower, you can put something under the feet. So I've just wedged the blanket so that I still got my shoulders on the floor, but my feet are coming higher towards my shoulder. They're not down here, they're up. So that's the difference. But I can also hold my hands onto the feet as well. So you might want to try that as well. And it might be that you wedge something under the hips and you keep them quite high, and maybe you bring your hand up there on the foot or on the thigh or on the shin or calf muscle. And then slowly bring the legs up and come to the other side. So whatever you used on that side, well, actually, you know, we are kind of uneven. So anyway, bring them to the other side, and then however you need to wedge the pillow or the blanket or whatever onto the legs. And as you stay here for a few breaths is when you might feel that gravity has an impact here. And then inhale the legs up. And because we're here already, bend the knees if you can hold the outer feet for happy baby. So you're trying to bring the thighs to the floor, but they may not go there. And you're trying to bring the chin towards the chest so that you have a little bit of roundness in the spine. Now, I don't know if this is possible for either of you, and I'm just trying to think of how, I mean, it can work with props, but it depends on how open your spine is that, and you might need a little momentum to get there, is I can put my feet on the floor, but you might not necessarily be able to do that. This is where a chair comes in handy because you don't have to go very far. So halasana, plow pose. So with the chair, see, you can put your feet on top. You don't have to go very far. So that's another option. And even if if you don't have any props and your feet can't go to the floor, you can still stay here. Hands can support
your back, and you can just stay here wherever your legs can go. You don't want to put too much pressure on your neck. Some of us can put the feet to the floor, but many people cannot do that. So don't do that if you have problems in your upper spine. And then you can slowly roll down and go into whatever your Shavasana choice is tonight. Feet up the wall, legs in the chair, regular Shavasana, whatever works for you. And hopefully that wasn't all over the place for you. I had to come in and out of poses to kind of show you things. And just to become aware of your breath and how your breath softens, becomes quiet, and the tops of the feet and the toes are softening to the backs of the feet and the toes. The tops of the ankles are softening back to the backs of the ankles and the backs of the heels. Tops of the shins soften back to the calf muscles. Tops of the knees are softening to the backs of the knees. Tops of the thighs are softening to the backs of the thighs. And your thigh sockets really soften back into the sit bones. Front of the abdominals and the pelvis softens to the back of the lower spine, the back of the pelvis, the sacrum. Front of the rib cage is softening to the back of the rib cage. Upper chest, sternum area, and collarbones soften back to the shoulder blades and the space between the shoulder blades. Fronts of the shoulders soften to the backs of the shoulders. Biceps softens back to the triceps. Inner elbow softens to the point of the elbow. Inner forearm softens to the back of the forearm. Inner wrist softens to the back of the wrist. And your palms and fingers are softening to the backs of the hands. Your collarbone notches are softening back to the back. Your throat softens back to the back of the neck. And your face is softening to the back of the head, to the ears. And as you breathe in and out of your nostrils, the cool air comes in and the warm air comes out. And then slowly begin to deepen your breath, reawakening your body, your fingers, your toes, hands, feet, whatever kind of stretch you need. Maybe you need a yawn. And you want to take your time coming up to sitting. And then I'm going to bring my hands to my heart, and I'm going to bow and touch my head and say good thoughts. I bring my hands to my throat and say kind words. Then I bring my hands to my heart, heartfelt actions. So namaste and have a beautiful day.